Once upon a time, in a grand and ancient garden filled with fragrant flowers and whispering trees, lived a nightingale. She was a tiny bird with a heart full of love and a song filled with the magic of nature. Every night, she sang beneath the silver moon, filling the garden with melodies so sweet that even the stars paused to listen. The young student and his sorrow. One evening, as the nightingale perched upon an old oak tree, she saw a young student sitting on a stone bench. His eyes were filled with tears, and his face was pale with sorrow. The nightingale, curious and compassionate, flew closer to listen. "Oh, how unlucky I am," the student cried. "She said she would dance with me at the prince's ball if I brought her a red rose. But there is not a single red rose in my garden." The nightingale's tiny heart ached for the young man. She knew the power of love, for she had seen flowers bloom in its warmth and wither in its absence. She looked around the garden, but indeed there was no red rose to be found. Only white and yellow blossoms stood in the moonlight. The search for a red rose. Determined to help, the nightingale flew to the nearest rose tree and asked, "Please, dear rose tree, will you give a red rose so the student may find happiness and love?" The rose tree shook gently. "I have only white roses," it said. "But perhaps my brother by the sundial can help." The nightingale thanked the tree and flew to the other side of the garden, where a second rose tree stood near a marble sundial. "Oh, beautiful rose tree, will you give me a red rose for the young student?" But the tree sighed, "I have only yellow roses. Perhaps my brother who grows beneath the window can help." The nightingale flew once more, her heart hopeful, and reached the third rose tree. "Please, dear rose tree," she begged, "give me a red rose so the young student may win his love." The rose tree shivered and whispered sadly, "I have no red roses, but there is a way. If you truly desire a red rose, you must build it with your own heart's blood. You must sing all night with your breast pressed against my thorn. Your blood will seep into my petals, and they will turn crimson." The nightingale gasped. To give a red rose, she would have to sacrifice her life. But she loved love more than anything. She had seen it in the flight of doves, in the petals of flowers, and in the golden glow of the setting sun. What was one life compared to the power of true love? The nightingale's sacrifice. With a heart full of courage, the nightingale whispered, "Love is greater than life itself." She flew to the rose tree, pressed her delicate breast against its sharp thorn, and began to sing. All night she sang, pouring her soul into the melody. She sang of the first stirrings of love, of its sweetness, its dreams, and its fire. The thorn pierced deeper into her chest, and her blood flowed into the rose, petal by petal, turning it from pale white to deep red. She sang of love's sorrow, its longing, and its heartache. The stars leaned down to listen, the moon wept silver tears, and the cold dawn began to creep into the sky. As the first rays of sunlight kissed the garden, the red rose stood in full bloom. But the nightingale lay still beneath the tree, her tiny heart silenced forever. The student's awakening. When morning came, the student stepped outside and saw the most perfect red rose in the garden. "How lucky I am," he exclaimed. "Now my love will surely dance with me." He plucked the rose and rushed to the house of the girl he loved. He held it out to her with a hopeful smile. But the girl only laughed. "I have been given jewels by another," she said, "and they are far more valuable than a rose." The student's face darkened with disappointment. "You are ungrateful," he cried, throwing the rose onto the street. A passing cart crushed its petals into the dust. The lesson of love. The student turned away, bitter and disillusioned. Love is foolish, he muttered. It is nothing but a dream. He walked back to his room, buried himself in books, and vowed never to think of love again. Withered Rose. In the heart of a quiet village, nestled between rolling green hills and golden fields, lived a young woman named Anya. She was known for her gentle heart and radiant smile, but behind her eyes lay a sadness that few understood. The villagers adored her, for she was kind to all, children, elders, and even the stray dogs that wandered the dusty roads. But Anya's heart belonged to only one, Raghav. Raghav was a farmer's son, strong and hardworking. He had eyes as deep as the river that flowed beside the village, and his laughter was like the breeze that rustled through the wheat fields. He and Anya had grown up together, playing under the ancient banyan tree. Running barefoot through the rain and sharing whispered dreams under the starlit sky. Their love had blossomed